Good morning. Hold it. Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for Friday, January 24th, 2025. Welcome. You made it through another week. And now it's time for a premium public video discussion, which we do every week, unless it's a holiday, where we go over some of the premium content that I share every day with premium members. Only $15 a month, by the way. So let's take a look and see what is going on out here. And the main focus is the cold air that's in place. This is some impressive cold air around the region once again, but it's getting ready to leave, which is great news because as much as I love winter, this is a bit much. When you have low temperatures, actually, it's not even low temperatures. It's still, we're warming up. We warmed up to -1 degrees Fahrenheit in Montgomery and in Orange County. I mean, that's ridiculously cold. It's in the teens now along the coast. We're starting to see some 20s now around Long Island, mid-20s around JFK. New York City is probably around the mid-20s as well. Philadelphia has broken into the 20-degree realm. It was in the teens. And of course, in your suburbs, you've been in the single digits in many of these locations. So we are steadily warming up, which is great news. And as we get more sunshine today, we'll actually break into the 20s, maybe even touch 30 degrees in a few locations. We haven't broken freezing yet in this entire week, but that is going to change by this weekend. On the radar and surface map from WeatherTap, we do have some snow showers showing up on the radar, but when we look at the observations, let's go back to the observations real fast. Notice we're not getting any reports of snow. So what does this mean? Well, this is what we call Virgo, where the atmosphere is so dry that the snow doesn't reach the ground. So you have a lot of scattered clouds moving around, which we can see very nicely here on the infrared satellite picture, but not much in the way of lifting. All your strong lifting is really back here with this cold front that's back here, and then here's our subtropical jet stream, but notice there's not a lot going on. So why isn't the snow showers able to reach the ground? Well, because we literally have almost no moisture in 2/3 of the lower portion of the atmosphere. Now, this is the lowest 400 millibars. So this is the surface up to about 600 millibars. And that usually gives us a pretty good read of the moisture in the atmosphere, what the rainfall potential or snowfall potential is. In the winter for precipitation, I usually want to be above 0.3 inches because, again, colder temperatures, you hold less moisture, right? But in this case, we are below 0.2, in some cases below 0.1. It's not even registering here on the map at this point. That's how dry we are. So you're having precipitation, let's say around 700 millibars or so, falling through this very dry air mass at 800 millibars and 900 millibars, and of course at the surface. And so nothing reaches the ground. And honestly, this has been a theme we have been dealing with going all the way back to May. We've been in this drought pattern. We're seeing some signs of that breaking, at least on the long range guidance. But right now, at least over the next 10 days, status quo. Now, there is an interesting storm potential that we're keeping an eye on. This is the 500 millibar map here on the European. And in case you're wondering, the latest statistics came out for model performance, and the GFS was dead last. The European's doing pretty good. European AI has had some bumps, but overall is doing well. The Canadian, in case anyone's wondering, is pretty much down where the GFS is, not doing very well. So your best model so far statistically in performance is the European guidance. So when we're looking at this setup here, a lot of people are going to be pointing out the upper level low and the evolution of this upper level low. And what I have here is the 0Z from yesterday and the 0Z from today. Okay, so these two model suites within 24 hours. They produce vastly different solutions, right? And a lot of people are going to be focusing on the upper level low in the southwest that last night's guidance lifts it up into the Great Lakes and sending a rainstorm for us. and the previous 0Z kept it separated and eventually swung it out towards the mid-Atlantic states, where it produced a major snowstorm around February 3rd or 4th. Now, you might be saying, well, gee, Steven, that means we have to wait for what's going on with the upper level low. But no, the primary question is not that upper level low exit. It is a question. It is something that needs to be worked out over the next 48 to 66 hours. But the real question is what to do with this Arctic disturbance here and this one here. You see, the model guidance here out to about, I'd say about 18 hours and 42 from yesterday is pretty much in strong agreement, right? Not much different change. Get out to 24 hours, pretty good change, pretty good agreement there. So we get out to 36, 42. Yeah, it looks all pretty good. Nice ridge in the Gulf of Alaska. Obviously, plenty of cold airs continues to stream in. It'll moderate a bit because you can't keep a pure Arctic air mass in place forever. You will have some steady moderation once it gets into the mid-latitudes, which is what we'll see this weekend. But then once we get to about 66 hours, this is where we start to see the changes here. So right now, we get up to 66 hours in the forecast, 90 hours yesterday, and we have this nice ridge couplet, ridge trough couplet, nice little block here setting up here. Then we get to 72 hours, and we start to see little tiny changes in differences in the forecast. And the question is, does this feature dive due south and intensify this trough, or does it slide this way and basically work within this upper level low couplet and the tropospheric polar vortex representation here that's over the Hudson Bay, which, by the way, would set up a nice, very weak negative NAO signal here. I would call it an extremely weak, almost neutral signal here, but still, it's certainly not a robust positive signal either. With this setting up here, you can have heights beginning to rise a little bit. But 90 hours out in the forecast, we start to see these little tiny changes. And then once we get to 108 hours out, here's where it really stands out. You see, if this feature dives into the Gulf of Alaska and enhances this trough here, what happens is that it starts to interact with this feature here faster. It starts to phase with it faster. So here we have the huge difference here. In the new guidance, you have an upper level low over Alaska. In the old guidance, the upper level low was basically further north, almost to the north of Alaska, and you were starting to get heights rising. You still had an upper level low down over the Western Pacific, but you didn't really see anything, should I say Eastern Pacific, but you were able to separate these features, okay? Whereas now you're starting to have them interact. And so 5 days out now, major differences and changes in this forecast. Here's the new one. There's the old one. Why does this matter so much? Because once you get out to 150 hours out, which is starting to get into later next week, the influence between this feature and this feature fundamentally changes compared to what we had previously. Previously, it was separated. This upper level low is still hanging around. You had this feature still hanging around. And so by the time they start to interact, it wouldn't be until much later in the period where this feature can dive into the back end of this upper level low and track towards the mid-Atlantic coast and produce your snowstorm. Whereas now, that feature is interacting much faster. And so with the phase developing much faster, what you end up with is this negatively tilted trough in the center of the country that's lifting north under the influence of this feature because you're putting more pressure on the back end of the trough. And so you end up with a storm up into the Great Lakes. Which one's right? That's a great question, because in terms of within the pattern itself, they both are reasonable expectations. They are both within the realm of possibility. I am hesitant to jump on either one just yet and say which one's right or wrong because this is coming out of the Arctic and the sampling up there and the forecasting of short waves that far north has been notoriously bad, and they can cause flips in the forecast very, very easily. Now, I would say, based on this evolution, and again, you could see the difference here in the interaction. There's the influence of that trough, so it feels it, turns it up north, whereas the previous guidance kept it separated. I would say that we're probably looking at somewhere in the middle between solutions. The idea of this cutting up into the Great Lakes is a little bit difficult to buy into when you have a deep upper level low still over Canada and you have some semblance of a block around the Canadian Maritimes. But at the same time, the solution of this just making a perfect track towards the mid-Atlantic and a major snowstorm on the coastal plain, that's what you call a thread the needle situation. And that's really hard to pull off, and we really haven't pulled it off this year. So most likely we're looking at something in the middle where you get the interaction taking place instead of the plains, maybe in the upper Midwest, and you get a track maybe up towards, let's say, Pennsylvania rather than Michigan. And so you get a redevelopment, so maybe a wintry mix over the interior and a rain along the coast or snow to rain on the coast type scenario. But the two extremes don't seem to be reasonable solutions right now. So it's going to be interesting. We'll probably get a lot more data this weekend. And I would say by early next week, we'll really start to nail down what happens in Alaska that influences this whole evolution as we move forward. So you can see there's a lot here that needs to be figured out. In the meantime, we do have a nice little clipper that's going to be diving through on Wednesday that is supported on both guidance, by the way, in both of the solutions. And that little clipper is going to be capable of producing a few snow showers on Wednesday, most likely Wednesday morning, it looks like right now. But or should I say Wednesday afternoon, but that disturbance is going to have the capability of maybe dropping a 1 to 3 inch type snowfall around the region with these snow showers moving through and another Arctic blast taking hold. So just to show you the type of cold air that we're working with here, again, because that upper level cuts up north faster, we warm up pretty nicely, and then we crash back down with another Arctic air mass. If you think winter's over for February, you are going to be in for a big surprise. But in the meantime, at least through the weekend, if you're looking for any type of significant precipitation, there is an awful lot of dry air. Again, this is precipitable water volume, a lot of dry. When you're down here, you can't really expect much in the way of precipitation. We'll see if that changes towards the end of next week, but it doesn't look all that favorable right now. So let's dive into this forecast for today. Look for scattered cloud cover, high temperatures in the mid to upper 20s throughout the region. So a little bit better. It's cold, but it's manageable, right? Tonight into tomorrow morning, scattered cloud cover, weak winds. Look for low temperatures in the single digits over the interior, lower teens on the immediate coast and in your urban areas. For tomorrow afternoon, scattered cloud cover, high temperatures in the mid to upper 20s again. For Sunday, a little trough is going to pass toward north, could produce a few snow showers or flurries in the Poconos and Catskills, but that's pretty much about it. Look for low temperatures to range from the mid to upper 20s, and high temperatures will range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior and upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. So finally, we get to above freezing temperatures by Sunday. It melts some of the snow. More importantly, it melts some of this black ice that is hanging around the region. On Monday, scattered cloud cover, high pressures in control. It dips back down again, colder, with low temperatures ranging from the lower to mid-teens over the northern interior, mid to upper teens along the coast. High temperatures will range from the upper 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior, mid to upper 30s along the coast. On Tuesday, Scattered cloud cover, increasing clouds towards the afternoon and evening hours. Look with a cold front moving through. Look for low temperatures to range from the lower to mid 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Wednesday, there's our clipper. And as typical with most of these clippers, it kind of does this low pressure jump from to the west of the Appalachians to the east of the Appalachians and produces this area of light to moderate snow. Again, we got to see the details on this. It'll move through in the afternoon and evening hours. So we'll get a better fine tune on exactly what to expect. Fast moving clipper usually doesn't produce much more than a dusting on the periphery and a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 inch type snowfall under the area where this moderate snow band sets up. So we'll keep an eye on it. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper teens over the northern interior, lower to mid 20s along the coast and in your suburbs, mid to upper 20s in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior and mid to upper 20s in the New York City metro, lower to mid 30s in the Philadelphia metro. On Thursday, Arctic air returns with scattered cloud cover and low temperatures in the single digits below zero over the interior, single digits in your suburbs, lower teens in your urban areas. High temperatures will only range from the mid to upper teens over the northern interior, lower to mid 20s along the coast. And on Friday, look for scattered cloud cover with low temperatures in the single digits over the interior and in your suburbs, lower teens in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the upper 20s to lower 30s. That is your forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day. And as always, just so I remind you, we have playlists organized for all the previous winter storms going back to roughly 2008. And we have all the details on all those previous storms and all the videos lined up. So that's really cool if you want to check that out. And of course, if you're interested in more weather content and more information and learn a little bit about atmospheric science, definitely check out nynjpaweather.com's premium consulting membership, only $15 a month. Have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe out there.